Lauren, I'm glad Natalie's here because I couldn't say those so beautifully how she just said that because
I just spoke words.
I didn't have a plan today. So
just on a day-to-day level, it's like when you see something that's wrong, you got to say something, and you see somebody treat somebody differently because of the color of their skin, you have to speak up. So that's like on a day-to-day human.
Walking down the street and you see a black guy, you grab your purse, or whatever, you clutch your purse close. These are all these unconscious things that we take in.
Hey guys, if it's crazy.
All right, go now.
Wait.
Get out of there! Oh my God!
Hey guys, welcome to the Family Mess. I'm Noah, and have a nice day.
Good God!
I love the Family Mess.
Oh.
welcome to the Family Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Ian, and this is my wife and co-host, Natalie. The Family Mess, the podcast about life with kids and all things adulting. Let's start. Hello, Natalie.
Good morning, Ian.
Sunday morning, another recording.
Actually, a morning recording. That doesn't happen.
A morning recording. This is a very special Family Mess Podcast recording today. We decided to do. Oh gosh, we've been a little pressured to do a recording about what's going on.
Not pressured, but we were asked.
We were asked by a couple of folks to do recording on what's going on out in the country now. So we have a guest today on the studio, my friend Lauren. I've known Lauren for, gosh, how many years has it been, Lauren? 20 plus years.
It's got to be more than 20, Ian. You're 40 something.
Oh my God, I'm 43. I'm sorry.
35 years.
35
Were you
years.
like in kindergarten or first grade, Ian?
The history of this is when I first moved to this country, I went to elementary school and I saw Jeff. I didn't know Jeff. And I think one day Jeff started.
Well, who is Jeff?
I said his name. Jeff is my best friend from elementary school. I said his name. Forgive me, Jeff.
See, Lauren, we just talked about that. You see what I mean?
Again.
But that's Lauren's brother. That's Lauren's brother.
That's Lauren's brother, Jeff. And when we went to elementary school, I was a very shy kid, and no one talked to me, really. Just a young black kid in the school. Not many black kids in the school, by the way. But then Jeff one day, invited me to his house. It was crazy.
That's weird because Jeff is so quiet.
Yeah. And I guess because I was quiet, he was quiet too. So we kind of had this thing. And so it was weird because I didn't have a lot of friends in elementary school at the time. And he was like the first one to really say, hey, can you come over to my house? I was like, what the heck? Come over to your house? That's never happened to me before. And I was scared. And I remember I had to ask my mom and dad if I could, because to them, it was a big deal to have their son go to this people's homes, Right. So I said, could I go? And my mom's like, yeah, you can go. I don't remember what it was when I went there for the first time, but I remember from the time I went there, the family's always treated me like one of theirs. I mean, literally from third grade to now, Lauren's right. I've always been there almost the entire time with that family, with your grandmother. Gosh.
I don't remember a time you weren't there, Ian. I don't remember my life in Florida that you weren't there, honestly. You were just always there.
Yeah.
You were always part of our life.
Yeah, I literally.
I would have been in kindergarten.
Yeah, I was there. You know what? I was there almost the entire time from when Lauren was small until the entire time. That's unbelievable. So I've known this family for almost my whole life, and they've treated me so good. That's why I hate all this is happening now, because it's not a representation of all people. This family has taken me literally as one of their sons and has loved me the entire time, nonstop. It's crazy. And when your dad passed away, that really bothered me for a long time, because that hurt. Because he really, because I have a father, but he really loved me. So I was like, man, this sucks, because you don't find a lot of people in life that unconditionally love you. But this family took me in and literally took me everywhere with them, everywhere.
Because I don't have the same experience, but as both of us being with Jamaican families, there's a cultural difference. Jamaicans we don't go nowhere. We don't do, if you're not going to somebody's house where you live, where you know somebody to visit or whatever, there's a lot of things that we don't do that American culture does. And for Ian to be able to have been a part of that, I think, Ian, kind of like families you see on TV. You see the families on TV and you're like, oh man, I wish mine were a little bit like that, because when yours isn't. And so I think being able to have experienced that, I think was monumental for him and life changing for Ian, and just the stories that he's told me about your family and how they treated him. And, you know, I mean, even the other day he was saying that you guys helped to pay for his soccer. And I was like, Ian, you know, why don't you pay that forward to another child and go and find another kid now that, you know, you're doing well in life to provide that same thing, because that gave you so much. And when he talks about your dad, and, you know, he became an engineer a lot just because of your dad. He can fix cars because of your dad. I mean, those were major impacts to him as a person and on his life. And so, you know, with all of that, to see where you also now, in what you do, in your work, you know, to advocate for kids. So Lauren, can you tell us a little bit about, you know, what you do?
Yeah, I know. Ian, you always felt just like one of my brothers. It was Jeff and Ian, my two brothers, you know, and I didn't, that's just how I kind of thought of you. And I'm glad that you were part of our life, because I think you brought a lot of joy, into our world too. You know, we always had so much fun. And you one thing I think about too is like, you really learned from my dad in ways that Jeff and I didn't. You know, you slowed down and paid attention to him, because we didn't know what we had, you know?
Yeah.
And so we never like sat in the garage with him and learned how to fix the cars and stuff. We were annoyed when he would make us fix our cars. But you really paid attention, and I just, you know, I feel like a lot of my dad is in you. It lives on in you.
Oh, I might cry.
Yeah. All right, let's not start with crying.
Oh my gosh.
But you know, I grew up here, obviously, with you, and my family, who I really felt very fortunate to have a very loving and good family. Just my mom and dad, like, they demonstrated what it means to be a good person, and I was able to really learn from that. And I didn't always follow those lessons, right? Like, I totally went through a bratty teenager phase, a selfish, you know, bratty teenager phase, and you know, but they really did model what it meant to be a good human. And so after, you know, at college, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I was a particularly good student, through high school and college. And it wasn't bad. I was just kind of mediocre, and I didn't know what I was going to do, but I kind of had this feeling like I wanted to do something good. And so I joined this program called Teach for America, and it brings like naive, energetic college students into communities that have schools that are really struggling. And then we get trained, and then we are placed in classrooms. And so I became 22 years old. I was a middle school teacher in South Central Los Angeles.
Did you say South Central Los Angeles? South Central?
Yeah, South Central.
I didn't realize that.
Which is just like literally the South Center part of Los Angeles.
That's rough.
And so right on the border of Watts, the school. A lot of my kids lived in Watts, that went to the school I taught at. And so became a teacher and loved it, but realized that that my kids had so many barriers in front of them, being mostly Black and Latino, growing up in poverty. A lot of them were immigrants, first generation, and they were smart, brilliant, kind, funny human beings, but they had so many barriers in front of them. And even if, you know, they did everything right, and even if, you know, they had a couple of great teachers and they could be, you know, Einstein level brilliant, and they still were going to struggle to get into college, to overcome the system, right? That's so broken and so against their success. And so I went into policy from that, thinking okay, we gotta address policies. And then I was in policy for a long time. And then I felt, I was just, you know, turned off by policy because politicians are divas and, you know, it's just such silliness. It's not about the issue. It's about interpersonal stuff and ego. And so I left that world and I went more into the direct service and nonprofit, and I trained teachers and moved back here, you know, after 10 years in LA. I moved back here about 7 years ago. really to be closer to my mom, you know, because after Dad passed,
Yeah.
she was alone, and she was doing good, but you know, she had that brain aneurysm.
Yeah, your mom's a fighter, man. Your mom is a fighter.
Oh my gosh, she is a survivor. Like she's going to outlast us all.
Oh,
man.
she will. She will.
But yeah, so I did that work here. I ran the program Teach for America that I joined in LA. I actually started it here in Orlando.
Oh, cool.
And the goal again was to bring new teachers to high need schools that were struggling to get and keep teachers in the classroom. So kids in our community literally were like going through these critical years of school without a full-time teacher. Like, how are you supposed to succeed? Like, this is one of the examples of the barriers, right? How are you supposed to succeed if you don't even have a third grade teacher?
Wow.
Or a kindergarten teacher or first grade teacher? The whole year you have just a rotating group of substitutes.
Really? That happens?
Yeah, I mean, this
that
happens.
literally happens.
I mean, it's not currently happening because schools are out, but like this year, there were probably 100 classrooms that didn't have teachers, and mostly in, you know, schools that serve students who are Black and Hispanic. I mean, that's like the reality. And nobody knows it, right? Nobody knows it because it's just not, they do a news story about it once a year and then everybody forgets it. And so I actually, we struggled to get funding for that program here in Orange County. And I left that program because they hired somebody who has more of a fundraising background. And now that program doesn't even exist. Because people just aren't paying attention to this issue in this community, and it couldn't get the funding that it needed. So it's gone from Orlando now, which is really heartbreaking.
Yeah,
and then where I am now is I started a collective impact initiative, which is like a community-wide initiative to work on equity in the early education space. So healthcare for mothers and children, early education and care for young children, really focused on the birth through 5, which is another huge area of inequity. And Black children and Black mothers are experiencing the worst impacts of this broken system.
Right.
Like to the point of like we're losing lives of children and mothers in ways that we really shouldn't. Like we're a first world country and women are dying in childbirth.
Right. Yeah.
In our community. So that's what we do now, and it's been crazy. I mean, we're still struggling to get support and funding for this project, and my partner and I have really, she does not take a paycheck at all, and there's been months that we haven't gotten paid. But luckily, again, my mom is able to help me with that, and so we're able to keep going. But so that's what I'm doing now. So it's all the work that I've done has been in the kind of education equity space, so making sure all children have access to education, and that is very much about race.
Okay, and what is the name of your organization again? I didn't realize that you were like I know you, but I don't talk to you that often. Ian more so speaks with you, so I'm curious to definitely hear more. But what's the name of your organization?
So our initiative is called Becoming a K-Ready Community. So becoming a kindergarten-ready community. The idea that we have to support our children and mothers to make sure they enter school and kindergarten ready to learn. Because if they enter school behind, I mean, essentially, they're never going to catch up.
Right.
It's just statistically very difficult.
So Lauren, as far as education goes, it seems like you realize, and the education is a big key in a lot of these communities, especially in impoverished communities, to getting out. Correct? I mean,
for opportunity.
It sounds to me like I'm not saying the system is doing this on purpose, but when someone's not educated or has access to proper education, they don't know they have choices. So they're left in an environment where choices are being made for them, and they're left to survive on their own. And if somebody doesn't step in and kind of let them know there's choices, there's consequences. It's just a continual thing that seems to happen. How do you? I have a question. Friends, if you have friends that don't see the way you see things, how do you tell them about it? I mean, from your perspective, do you have a lot of friends that are like, Lauren, why do you keep doing this? I mean, what do you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of friends that are actively saying like, why are you doing this? Because that just wouldn't we just wouldn't be friends. Yeah. If they were, they were actively, we're just not gonna, that's not the person who's gonna hang around with me. But I definitely have friends that, I play soccer still.
Oh, wow.
And so I have this whole community of soccer people that aren't friends that I made through work, and a lot of them just don't get it. And it's not so much that they're like, oh, why do you do that? Or that's a waste of time, or, they're not overtly racist or anything like that, but they are, you can see that they're just like, Lauren, when she starts talking about, equity and justice, like you can see that they're kind of annoyed. And then I have a lot of friends who, they're just, they claim to be neutral, which I think, as we're hearing a lot these days, like you can't be neutral. You're on one side or the other. You're on the side of racism and inequity and oppression, or you're fighting against it actively. And it doesn't mean you have to like drop everything and dedicate your entire life to it, but it means that you have to like vote in a way that supports anti-racist policies and pay attention and educate yourself. And I have a lot of friends who don't, and
but
so
why do you think
hard.
that is?
Yeah.
Like, what is that disassociation? Because I mean, for me on the other side of it, I feel like people don't, I don't know. I think people sometimes look at it as, well, it's not my problem, I guess, kind of a thing. Or it's not happening anymore because, people are free now and all that kind of stuff.
I've heard that before,
too. Where do you think this, like, where is that disconnect? Like, or I don't know if you understand. Cause, one thing I did want to say is that, neither Lauren can't speak for all white people. Ian and I can't speak for all black people, but we can speak on our experiences. So, I just want to make sure we say that to everybody, because we are not trying to speak for any one segment of any population, because we are each individuals, no matter what.
Yeah.
So, with that, Lauren, can you answer that, or what do you think as in your experience as to why?
I mean, in this, I will speak to this from not just like in my interaction with my friends, but my own journey, right? Because I wasn't always like, where I am today is far different from where I was when I was a child and a teenager and in college and, starting out in my career. Like, I am on a journey myself, and I am nowhere near where I need to be in terms of my own perspective on race and my own actions and my own thinking. Like, I am racist. Like, that racist is not an insult. Racist is it is an observation, right? Do you think and behave in ways that are racist? And I still do. And I'm not actively trying to do that, but I do that because my experience is totally different than the experience of Black people. And I don't get to feel every single day the oppression of racist policies. And so sometimes I forget, and sometimes I act and behave in ways that don't acknowledge those things. And so I've been focused on and working on this for 20 years, and I still am there. And so then I think about my friends who've never been asked to have a conversation about race, who've never been faced with the idea that, like, they've benefited from the color of their skin, and they've benefited by white supremacy society, right? And they've never been asked that, and all of a sudden you're asking them, and it is an attack on who they are. I mean, it is. And a lot of people just don't even know where to start. And so rather than start, that they just hide.
Right. I think a lot of people have like a lot of unconscious stuff too, like things that they don't recognize, like, like the walking down the street and you see a Black guy, you grab your purse, or whatever, you clutch your purse close. These are all these unconscious things that we take in and are taught, and even as a Black person, the crazy part was when my son was about, I think 7 or so. I used to watch a lot of news back then. I don't watch the news at all anymore, but the TV was on, and like some guys came up who had done something. And he was like, "Mommy, why are all Black people," or what did he say? Do you remember?
Why are all Black people bad? Something like that.
Yes, something like that. And I was like, and he's Black.
We both just looked at him and we're like, "Oh, damn,
like,
this is not good."
Like crap. Like, how in the world? But from that moment, I realized
you understood
the messages that we receive unconscious, like in our subconscious, we are fed these messages. I had to sit there and have a conversation with him, like, "Hey, your dad's Black. He's not in jail. Your uncle, this person, and that's not the facts." But we are fed so much stuff, like subconsciously by society, that I think sometimes, especially a lot of it's fear. Like, I mean, I saw an article yesterday where this man, I mean, it's kind of a crazy story, but this man, this white guy, accidentally Facebook Lived him watching TV with his wife. And in that instance, they were watching like the stuff with the protesters and everything. And he was going all crazy, talking about how, how all this is going to take away from white people's jobs. And, you know, he was using the N-word and he said black B. I mean, he went all in because it was him and his wife talking. He didn't know he was on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
But what I took from what he said was he was fearful. Like, I'm like, how do you fear people being treated the same as you? Like, but he felt like it was going to take something from him. And I feel like that fear is what pulls people away, and the lack of understanding, lack of empathy. That's just what, you know, from my perspective, from dealing and hearing people, like, because they can't relate, they don't know how to empathize and try to see something of that other perspective. Like, even like for me, you know, as like there's gay people out there, right? You know, not out there, but yeah, there's, you know, with gay people, right? That's something that I didn't understand at first. I didn't understand it. And, you know, when it became into the forefront, I had to look past myself and say, hey, like, they are people just like I am a person. How would I want to be treated? You know, and so why are they not able to have the same rights that I have as a person? You know, for their cause, you know, for their lives, you know what I mean? So, you know, some people get mad about that when you talk about, okay, but it is all the same. We all have differences. But it's how are we able to, self-reflect on our bias against those differences? And people, I guess, for what I've seen, have a hard time accepting that they have a bias or accepting that they've been fed things subconsciously that have altered their view. You know, because even, I know I'm talking a lot right now, but even a friend of mine yesterday.
Yes, you are.
I know, but I'm gonna stop. But a friend of mine yesterday was saying, I was talking to a friend, this white girl, I've known her since we were kids. And she was saying, like, you know, her, like a relative of hers, you know, she can meet a black person and she's okay with that. Like, but if it's a stranger, like if she walking down the street, you know, that stereotype that's been fed to her and she has that fear. And so, you know, then it affects, you know, how she does things. But, you know, I'm just talking, but it's just a lot of things. Like, I had a lot on my mind lately about all this.
I think that the point you made about empathy, I mean, that is it. Like, it's people aren't taking the time to really sit and think, like, what would I do if that were me? If that were my neighbors and my son and my children, you know, what would I feel like? Wouldn't I feel similar to what, you know, I'm seeing? Wouldn't I be out on the street protesting? And I just don't think people are, you know, even when they sit in empathy for a moment, you could do that for a moment and then go about your day and not think about every single aspect of our world that is broken by racism. And that, I think, is like, there's that whole spectrum of people. You've got that guy and his wife. There's like full on hardcore racists, and maybe they don't say it in public, but they say it in private. You've got the like full on racists that are just putting stuff all over Facebook, like they don't even care. And then you've got this spectrum of people all along it, right? And you've got, like, I have a friend who voted for Trump, but now she's like realizing that she was swayed by mostly men in her life who told her how to think about politics.
Wow.
And really, Trump does not align with her values.
Right.
And she is one of those people that is learning, you know, and she's progressing as a human. But I have a lot of other friends who are just like, they don't care. It doesn't impact them. And so they don't do anything about it. They don't feel like it's their responsibility to do it. And I guess I believe that, like, you're just not, some people you're not going to change. It's not worth your energy trying to change them. Mm-hmm. But the people you can, if we could get them to change how they think and act and behave and get them to, like, vote for the right people and support the right things, then we can make change. We're never going to change the hardcore racists. We're never going to change the people in denial. But there's a lot of people out there that can be. And I believe in approaching it with compassion. You know, there's some folks who, and this is totally valid, like, do your thing, but leave, like, we're done with compassion. We're over compassion. Like, you have to be hard on people and tell the truth and not be afraid to hurt them. But my thing is, like, I know a lot of people who will come into this conversation if you treat them with compassion and if you walk along with them and help them. It doesn't mean you don't hold them accountable for what they say and do. It just means that you give them a little bit of grace and you help walk alongside them. Because, like me, I'm on that journey too, right? Just because my friends are in a different part of that journey, like, why should they be treated I don't know. I think it just turns people off but that's my philosophy. And I get that there are other people who don't believe that too. So.
Right. I mean, for me, like I do, excuse me. I have a lot of white friends on my Facebook, and I have a lot of black. I went to an HBCU, so I have a lot of black friends. And one of the things that I do, and people have made comments, I post, I mean, like, you know, I am pro-black, I would say, but I'm not anti anybody else. But because I know what black people go through, I push for black people. Like I do. And I post a lot of things as far as when racist events happen, I post them. Or when people when people do call the police on people, I post them. And I had one of my white friends be like, yeah, I see your black posts that you be posting. And I see, but I'm like, I do it because people need to know. Like, I feel like because people are sheltered from a lot of things, you need to know. You need to know what's out there, what's happening to people. And once you begin, and I'm feeding you subconsciously, you know what I mean? It's the same way that the society is feeding you stuff. I'm feeding you subconsciously. So at some point, you will see this lady calling the police on a black person for no real good reason. And so when you're out in public and you see something, you're going to think twice. Okay, is this really the right situation that I need to be calling the police? You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm putting those, and they get people, some of my friends have gotten mad or whatever and called me racist or whatever. But I'm like, look, and I had this one girl, she got upset because I called her out on something. She was like, she's a heavy pro-Trump and she's still my Facebook friend. But she's heavy pro-Trump. And I called her out on something once and she was like, how dare you make me feel guilty for being a white person? And I was like, I'm not.
You're like, if you feel guilty, that's on you.
Right. That's what I told her. I'm like,
that's on you.
Right. I'm like, I'm sorry you feel guilty, but I didn't do it. I'm just telling you facts, and if you feel guilty, you have to figure out why and do something about it. That's not my responsibility. And, and I was just like, I was taken aback in that conversation how she came at me like that and why she was so angry. Like, and I was sitting there like, why is she mad? Because I've told her the truth and the truth hurt that much that she is unable to process her feelings about it, but I just left her alone. But, people always say things, people say things to me, but I'm just like, I do, for me, what I feel is right. And my way of being vocal, I don't go out and, protest, I don't, and I don't do a lot of other things, but I do know that I have people who are different from me that read my Facebook posts. And so that is the way that I communicate to people to say, hey, look, take a look at this, and people don't see like, we were kind of to go back to what we were talking about before. It was with education. Like I was telling Ian the other day, I look at ourselves. Ian and I are both a product of a white education. My parents were poor in Jamaica. My my grandma would make my mother's clothes out of the curtains in their house. I mean, they were poor people. And where my parents have come, they're in their 80s now, but they have come and we went to England for like 30 years. Then we moved to America, to where they've come from. And my brother and I have received this American, I guess you would say a white education, because my parents moved us into the white neighborhood. I wasn't around a lot of black people as a child, which kind of sucked for me, but it was one of those things. But I realized because of the education that we were given, it provided an opportunity. And with the way school districts are aligned and by, the tax dollars. And so a lot of the schools, and neighborhoods, and this goes even back to that whole redlining thing of properties. So where they're not getting those tax dollars, right? And so the kids don't get the quality education. Then people want to act like black people are stupid and black kids can't learn. They can if given the opportunity and the tools that they need. Because I'm like, Ian and I both, from Ian grew up even more poor. I wasn't poor. My parents weren't poor by the time they had me. But Ian grew up relatively poor. He talks about roaches, why he hates roaches, because they had so many in his house and stuff. But we both were given that education here. And now we have been able to lift up ourselves a level. I got out of college making more than double what my parents were making, But it was because of that education that I was afforded and a mind shift that also I was exposed to, by that education that enabled me to uplift. And a lot of kids can't, a lot of kids aren't able to lift out of that thing, as far as how they're born and what education that they are provided. And I know for you being in the education, you see that like a lot. Like, can you expound upon that some?
Yeah. I mean, I used like when I first started teaching, I mean, and like I said, I'm going to say this over and over again, like I am on a journey. Like I am not perfect. I actually remember when I first started teaching, I taught, in central Los Angeles, I had Black and Hispanic students. And one of my students was like, he said, he was one of those students that, like, was always around. He hung out with me before school and at lunch and after school. But when he was in my classroom, it was like chaos. And every day I would greet him at the door and I would say, whatever happened yesterday, that's done. That happened yesterday. Today is a new day. It's going to be a great day. And then he's like, all right, miss. And then it was like chaos in the classroom, just like throwing books and stuff. And, he was always getting in trouble because he was loud and he was, always making jokes and always standing up. And he goes, miss, you're racist. And I was like, what? No, I'm not. And of course that was my first reaction. Then he was like, why am I always the one getting in trouble? And it really like woke me up to this idea that like, I don't think I'm racist, but my behavior says that I am, because I do always get, him in trouble. And maybe it's not, yes, we need to learn. And like, yes, I need him to be quiet when I'm talking. And yes, I need him to sit in a seat, but I wasn't teaching in a way that was like respectful and responsive to his needs. And that is part of racism, is that like most teachers, a lot of teachers are white. When white teachers teach Black kids or white teachers teach Latino kids, and they don't have training on how to be respectful and how to integrate the culture of the students that they teach into their classroom, that bias then is imposed on kids. So it's just, there's so much, it's so complex because you've got so many inequities. And then even if you have great teachers in classrooms, they have biases that are impacting kids that can hold them back.
Mm-hmm. Natalie and I had a couple. I used to believe that if you could give kids a good education, they could overcome their circumstances. And I think that is still true to an extent.
Right, to an extent, yeah.
Yeah, doing that, is really, really complex. It's not just like, let's put good teachers in the classroom because the system is broken. And then B, this, education lives within this broken system of our world and our society that is racist. So, looking at there, like, people who, I'm trying to think of the word that I'm trying to think. I can't think of the word. But, you would get like, I think the Amy Cooper, Christian Cooper example is good, right? The guy who's bird watching. Like this is, I think he went to Harvard and he like was a writer for Marvel Comics. Like this is a highly educated Black man and still he was treated this way, right?
Yep.
So like education isn't the only thing. It is a huge part of it, but it isn't the only thing, one. And B, it is so complex what is going on in our education system that creates inequities for Black children. And nobody is really looking at them. Like,
yeah. I have our son
in our community.
Yeah, and our son is ADHD, and we were taking him to a therapist. There was this white lady therapist that we were taking him to when he was, I think around 5 or 6 years old, because we were doing neurofeedback and some stuff. So she was the person who does that in the area, and she said to me, Natalie, I want to tell you this. She said, you need to make sure that you advocate for your child. Because your child is a little Black boy and he will be treated, differently or more harshly than the other children. And, and for me, I mean, I knew this, but for me coming from her as a therapist who talks to, hundreds of kids, probably every month, thousands of kids in her lifetime, for her to sit there and tell me this, I was like, wow, like, you get it because you see it, but if only more people could see it. But you're sitting here as a white lady telling me that I need to make sure I extra advocate for my child because he will be judged more harshly because of his color. And it's been proven with studies that, kids of color, especially Black and Hispanic children, are disciplined harder than their white counterparts for the same things. I mean, I had my son the other day at school. last school year, he's in 6th grade. He's got the ADHD. We had to put him in private school because public school was not for him. But he had a child.
Oh, this is good.
He had it was a little white girl at school, and I think took her headphones or something, or I forgot what it was.
She initiated it.
Yes,
That's
no, she called him names.
She called him a name.
No, he called her a whale, and she went home crying.
Yep.
To her mom that this boy did this to her at school. Blah blah. Said this to her, and my son, they were going to suspend or give him in-school suspension.
Oh yeah. But the thing is,
and I had to go.
It's how they did it. They didn't call us. They sent a note.
Yes, they sent a note. Yeah,
that is like normal.
Oh yeah. So, but what happened was
that is normal stuff.
Yeah. So Ian and I went up to the school, hot. Like, okay, because when we asked him what happened, he explained to us. And we were like, well, this doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
So, and this is the kicker for me. Why? I was like,
this is good.
Because after he was going to get in school suspension, once they found out the real story that because he thought that they were just, what do they call it? Egging on each other. Like he thought, what's the word they call it? Roasting. He thought that they were roasting each other. He's just having a good old time with the thing because she's saying things to him too.
Back and forth.
So once they found out that she was also saying things to him, now what do you think was the consequence that happened? Nothing. But you was ready to put my kid in school suspension over what he said. But now that she said something too, both of them should have had in school suspension. Right?
Yeah.
But instead, they dropped the whole thing.
Yeah. Because at first, because we're like, well, if their parents want to go ahead and tell our son to go in school, we want to go and make her go on in-school suspension also. And once we said that, they're like, the principal's like, well, how about we just go ahead and just drop the whole thing? And I'm like, oh, okay, we can do that. But it's amazing that if we didn't get involved, our son would be in school, in suspension for something that really is not, deemed to be
right.
suspended
But the teacher
for.
quick to call him out and the whole situation. So and that just goes back to
it's a whole system.
It's a system. It's a disparity, and people don't realize, and that's why we have to have these conversations, because now when these conversations are had, administrators, teachers can, and people in general, co-workers can now think twice about what their reaction is to something. And that's why I feel like it's so important that people get upset about all these protesters and these rioters and, those black people are out there always tearing stuff up. But you know what? If we don't, how do we get hurt? How is there change?
Yeah.
And if I've seen where they highlight over and over again, every time black people protest, it's because of a police brutality. Not every time, but every time it's over police brutality. Because from back in the day, even when you watch old movies, right? They pull up, boy, and they do all this. That stuff is still here today.
Happened to me.
Yeah.
And they have these, they walk around with these biases, and they have this fear because, yes, some criminals, are black people. Yes, some criminals are white people, but this fear that has been perpetuated about black men, especially, that there are a threat.
But why is that?
I don't know.
Why is there a perception that black men are a threat? That's the first question you have to ask, is because, and that's a perception that's purposely put out continuously.
Yeah.
But why is
it
that?
Is, absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's if they can start.
I don't know, because I wasn't there when it started, and history, you have to make conclusions about history,
right.
But it's hard not to believe that this is intentionally set by people who are in power and want to stay in power, because if you've got people, that don't have power, whether they be black or white, poor or middle, we're not talking
right.
about super rich, you could be rich. Anybody else that isn't part of the elite,
yes.
if you have them fighting against each other,
yes.
they're not looking at what you're doing.
Correct.
And when you look at some of the systems and the way the systems were set up, it is hard not to think that is the intention. Is if you keep everybody distracted, if you keep everyone distracted and you give them an enemy, you give them an enemy to hate by showing all these images on TV, then they're not going to look at you. The elite making policies that are really hurting everybody.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not
yes.
the fact that we don't have health care, that's everybody.
Yeah.
It's more black people don't have health care, and they have less access to doctors and all of that. It's worse, but everybody is kind of screwed in this system. And so I don't know I don't have any actual evidence, although I think you can look at history and say, like, this leans towards this being intentional.
All right. Oh, yeah,
and this
because
leans towards this being
I
intentional.
know in the past they instead of it was about like Italians and people from Poland, like there was other, and then they changed the narrative of who
Irish.
they were against.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's
You
changed
have to
over
have
time.
somebody who's below, who's
Right.
below you, and that lifts you up. And I think that's part of it. It's like as long as there's somebody that you're better than.
See, that's what I said.
Yeah.
That's what I told Natalie
Yeah.
yesterday. I was like, you always have to have somebody in your society that it deems that you're better than. That's the way
Yeah.
societies work. You always got to have this lower class, and that's the problem. It's a human trait.
Right.
But it just so happens that
And it happens everywhere.
yeah, and it just so happens that black people are the ones that are at the bottom of the totem pole right now, getting it, and because, like Lauren said, it's the people at the top that's the problem. Is it's the people at the top with the power that control everything.
Yeah.
are the
Yeah.
ones that are setting these
Yeah.
precedences in place. And it's not your
Yeah.
typical neighbor; it's your judges, your lawyers,
Yeah,
your
but your
politicians.
neighbors are the ones that let it happen.
Yes.
The neighbors are the ones who buy into
Right,
what
they
see
buy
on
in-
TV.
yeah.
They don't take the time to look it up, and then they vote for these people.
Yes.
Like, there's this representative, Florida representative in Lake County, who's just been spitting out this trash on Twitter that is so racist. It's not even trying to hide, right? He's not even
Wow.
being discreet about it. Like, he is full on sharing some really disgusting stuff. And he is an elected official. And people are going to vote for him because he put this stuff out. This man is making laws in our state that will determine whether or not people get access to things they need to thrive in this world. And he has power, and he is full on not even trying to hide his racism. That is that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. People feel like a lot nowadays, like they have open. But I mean, in a way,
It's an
I'd
open
rather.
forum.
But in a way, I'd rather hear it. I'd rather see it
Yeah,
and know it.
exactly. It's better
Know
to
your
see it and
enemy
know where it
more
is.
so than
Yeah.
the one that's looking in your face and laughing and having a good time with you, and then turns around behind you and doesn't want to, you know.
That's what I'm saying. It's the
Yeah.
judges, the lawyers, the politicians, the people that actually enact power and control policy.
Yeah.
They're the
Yeah.
ones that are racist.
Yeah, well,
That's
and-
where it starts. Is that Lauren's right. If you can't change policy, you can't really do anything.
Right.
That's where it has to start.
And there's not. I mean, there's some overt racist policies, and they're working to change those, but there's still some. But it's more right now, at least what I see in education, it's more that there aren't enough anti-racist policies. Like we did so many horribly racist things in our history. We actually have to actively work to undo that. And we're
Right,
not.
right,
Our
right.
policies in Florida are neutral in education. We don't have policies that say there has been historic inequity in education in our community, and we actually have to right that by investing, by making it a priority. And we don't do that.
See, and people don't want to
It
do
just
that
goes
because
on.
they feel like it's
Yeah.
taking something from them. The people who, I would say like white people or other people, they feel like it's taking. Why do they need that? It's like almost like affirmative action. Like,
exactly.
why do they need
Yes.
that? We need it to play, the level the playing field.
It's the same thing with the hair.
Yeah.
Why do you have to make a policy about black kids and their hair? Going to school. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's like, what's wrong with my hair? It's hair.
That right. Our hair isn't done the same as someone else's with a different.
They've had
hair.
national or state policies about hair that have been recently passed about hair.
Yeah.
Because
the kids being a lot because the people in power say, "Oh, well, you can't have your hair like that." What? That's ridiculous.
and that's a normal black style. It's nothing that and for a black person, that's the way we do our hair.
That's how you know the extent of racism in this country when a black person has to fight for their kid to have a certain hairstyle. That's how you know we have a lot of work still left to do.
Oh, we have so much work. And I agree, Natalie. I'd rather them be out and you know who they are, and so you can say, you need to get out of power. You need to have no power and no voice because you are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we didn't know that guy was saying, if we didn't know these things were happening, if they weren't out front, then they would be happening. They just would be happening in silence. And so you got to get them out. And then okay, here are the people that I can actually change their minds. They might not be there yet, but we can be in conversation and work together towards a better
right.
World, because it is, I believe, that saying, none of us are free until all of us are free. And so like, you might not think this has anything to do with you because you're not Black. This has everything to do with you. And you should be driven by compassion towards others. You should be, outraged that other human beings in our society are being treated unfairly and unjustly and being murdered. Just as a human being with a heart, you should feel
right. But a lot of people don't see it that way. A lot of people see it as,
they don't.
Well, they're criminals because they may have done something in their past, or they may have been wrongly accused of something in their past and convicted of something in their past. But that's all they see is, Black people criminals, and for me, I find it very hurtful. Like, I find it hurtful that people are so, even people that I know are so, who I've been in their home, I've eaten meals at their table, and then I hear the other side of them when it comes to race.
Yes.
Like it, it is hurtful to me. Even just watching, I read a lot of, which I need to really stop, but I do. I read a lot of comments on articles. On anything online, just online, I read the comments, and anytime a Black person does anything, whether it be good or bad, right? The trolls come out, all the 13%, the this, the that, and it's like that person may have done something wrong if the story's about doing something wrong, but they're a person. If a white person, you go to a story about a white guy who does something wrong, he is this, he is that. You go to a story about a Black person doing something wrong, they. We are all lumped together. That's why I tell my kids, like, you can't, unfortunately for us as Black people, we are not given, we don't have the right in our life. We can't. If we do, it won't help us at all. But we have to live for all of us. We can't just live for ourselves. I have to do things. When I do them for all Black people, because that's what, when I work with people at my job, and if I go acting a fool or I go do certain things, they don't see Natalie as Natalie's acting extra. Natalie, Black woman, is angry. Natalie, and I can't, and I'm like, that's why I say, it sucks that I can't just live for myself and do for myself. But for me personally, I see that I have to live for my race of people. I have to represent myself in a way for all Black people to get us to a better place in life where we are looked at as equal. We are looked at as a person, not just, our color, or that, we are not smart enough. We can't do enough. In life. And it's just like, it just hurts me. I guess it hurts my heart when I hear people say things and I read things. And even like the white guy bicycler the other day, he attacked 2 white girls who were putting up posters. His anger, they were putting up, posters with the Black Lives Matter, George Floyd. I don't know what the posters had on, but it was related to that. And these were teenage girls. His anger was such that he went over to them. One of them, he grabbed her by the arm and pulled the papers out of her hand. And then he went to the other girl and grabbed and pulled her stuff. And they're like, leave us alone. And, he was that angry that they were putting up posters about atrocities done to a man and to a segment of population, that he would go and accost them as white girls. As it was a white guy accost. And I was just like, wow. That is hate. That is like, why does it run so deep?
A lot of it is they don't want to confront the truth.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Natalie, most white people and white men do not want to confront the
Well,
truth.
men, I know men. Yeah,
I'm telling you, that's what it is. Go ahead, Lauren.
They've been told that they're like, they've been told that if Black people get equality,
they'll kill us.
Women get equality, that they're
losing
something.
something.
Their position is being,
Yes.
It's to them, it's you said again, zero sum game, where if Black children in school get equity, your children loses out.
Right.
That's what people have been told.
Yep.
And nobody is actually taking the time to educate themselves, to really experience what it's like to be in a school where the majority of students are poor, the majority of students are Black and Hispanic. Nobody has ever taken time to have a firsthand experience. So all they know is what they've been fed.
Yeah.
And, Ibram Kendi,
I've heard of him.
A bunch of books. Yeah. He actually went to Florida A&M, probably around the same time you guys are, he's younger than me and you're older than me.
Okay.
But he has this thing where he talks about, it's like, if racism is rain, we're all standing out in the rain. We're soaking wet. We're so wet, we don't even know we're wet. and somebody comes over and gives you an umbrella and makes you realize that you're soaking wet, it doesn't dry you off right away. You stop the rain from falling on you, right? You start opening your eyes to, wow, yeah, this society is like peppering me with this racist thoughts and these racist ideas, but you're still wet, right? They're embedded in you because you've been rained on your whole life. And like, it's for, white men, it's even worse, like, because they're told to fear, and they're told, like, if these people get something, you are going to lose. You're going to lose your power. And so, wow, like, how powerful is that to build that fear and that anger in you? And you're not, if someone's like, that's not what it's like. Actually, the people who are feeding this to you want you down too. They want you fighting these other people. Like,
yeah,
it's just,
correct.
It's hard. It takes so long to get someone to be in that place and have that conversation. It takes years of like actively working and having conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the end, everybody loses.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what really happens in the end. No one's winning this. Whites, blacks,
like a small percentage of people.
Everyone loses in the end because the people that are in charge of it, they're fine. But it's us fighting amongst ourselves. We lose. That's it. We just lose.
Yeah.
There's no winning.
Yeah. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the future, and we take little tiny steps, but at least they're tiny steps forward. So eventually, I hope in time, that things do change and black people can be seen as people. Cause, this girl, I think her name was Kimberly Jones. She had a video out, and, she, at the end of her video, she said something to me, and I was like, oh, wow. Like, she said that, and it's kind of to me, it was a strong statement, but it was very true. She said, white people are lucky. She said, people are lucky that black people are looking for equality and not revenge. Because people don't know the truth. Like, a lot of people have no idea of the real truth and the real atrocities committed against black people from the beginning to now. Like, people just people don't realize that, some women were for science, were cut up and all these different things. Like, they have no idea. They don't know that black people once had Black Wall Street and have tried, every time black people have tried to lift themselves up, unfortunately, people have come in and they burn it down
to the ground.
Yeah.
Right? But people don't realize this. And they use one out like black people, they can't do this. They don't want to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. But that's not, it's a system thing. There is a system at play that has always, no matter how much people tried. I mean, like, I don't know, her video was like 6 or 7 minutes, but it was like the most profound video for me, because she talked about how for 400 years, it's like, imagine playing, this is what she said, imagine playing Monopoly for 400 years. You play Monopoly, but you're told you can't have anything. You can't win. You're playing this game. They tell you, you can't win. Right? And then for 50 years, they say, okay, well, you can start to win some things, but everything still goes back to us. Right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, like that is so true. And that is, in a sense, the game that has been played. Because even when black people were promised things, they were always taken or found a way to take the money back. So they could never uplift themselves. So now we've had generations and generations and generations who have not. And that's why the gap is widening as far as race, as far as the financial gap. Because back in the day, I don't know if it was the Great Depression or when, but white people were able to build their wealth through their homes. But black people weren't able to do those things, and so, I mean, it's like people just don't know and understand how deep, and it is true. If black people were looking for revenge, my God, the havoc that would be raised up in this country because of what has been done. And people would really be truthfully fair, but all we're asking for is equality, to be treated like everybody else, to be treated the same, to be looked at as a human and not as this lesser than person, right? So when you see me walking down the street, you don't see, oh God, there's a person I need to fear. You see, oh, there's a person walking down the street. And that's all we want. That's why I'm speaking for me. That's all I want.
You're passionate about this, aren't you?
I am. Because
you hear that, Lauren? She's passionate.
I know. I'm an emotional. I'm an emotional speaker. I am. And I get riled up easily about stuff. But this, of course, is true because I've had my own experiences in life. I've been followed through the store. I mean, my friends and I once, and I'm going to get back, wrap up, but my friends and I once were driving from Tallahassee. I went to FAMU. We were driving from Orlando to Tallahassee. and we pulled off on an exit. And this is like in the 90s, mid 90s. We pull off on an exit and we are just changing. We go to a gas station. It was an empty gas station and we were just changing drivers. And it was like out of a movie scene. This white man rolls up in a red pickup truck, right? With the gun rack in it, with the guns in it in the back window. And he says, what the heck? This is exactly what he said. I ain't making this up. He said, what the heck? What the heck are y'all doing here? This is redneck country. And we were just like, oh shit, we leaving. That's what we doing.
Yeah.
I mean, but we were 3 girls in a car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were just pulling off at an exit. After that, I didn't pull off on no exits on I-10 no more.
Yeah.
I got off at Lake City. Yeah, to get
from
gas.
Tallahassee to Orlando is dangerous.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
You know, but that that man, he had the guns in the thing, like in a movie. The same red truck, like what you see in the movie.
Doing here?
And that's what he sounded like. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He was an old white man, but
remember, when you and Jeff, you guys were pulled over because the cops thought you were like somebody had like robbed something.
Yeah,
something, and you
I
guys
tell that
pulled
story
over.
to people all the time. The cops pulled us over and put shotguns on us. I'm telling you, if Jeff and Bob weren't there, I would have been shot, probably dead.
Yeah, and
I'm 100% serious.
about that.
Jeff and Bob are 2 of my white friends, and I was the black guy in the car. I'm telling you right now, those cops would have shot me if they weren't in that car.
They threw you on the ground, right? They
Well,
put your face on the ground.
Well, they
or
pulled us out of the car and put
foot?
us on the car. But I'm telling you, they would have treated me worse if Jeff and Bob. If it was just me and if it was 3 black guys in the car, my God, I might not be here today. It wouldn't have turned out well. I think Jeff and Bob being there with me is the only thing that really made things turn out differently. Because the cops, when they saw that it was 2 white guys and a black guy, they were harsh, but they weren't as harsh as they probably wanted to be. You see what I'm saying? Because Jeff was talking a bunch of shit. He was, F you, and I didn't say nothing. I'm like, I can't do that.
Oh yeah. No,
I knew back then I couldn't do that. I was like, I can't do that.
Jeff could be angry. That Jeff could punch that.
Yeah,
kid.
Jeff was angry and cursing at the cop, and the cop's like, oh, shut up, son. I couldn't do that. There's no way I could have done that. So I just kept my mouth shut, and I'm just like, I'm not saying nothing.
yeah, because even like there was I think it was Fiona Apple. The singer, she had a story. I think it was her. Told a story the other day about her and 2 guys were in the car and they had weed, like they had marijuana. This is like years ago or whatever. They had marijuana. And when they saw the cop walking up, she's like, give it to me. I'll be okay. She's like, she told them that because there was all of them together, but she told them to give me the weed. I'll hold it. And you guys, just be whatever. The cop searched both of them. The cop searched the car, but he never searched her.
Wow.
And she knew. She was like at that point, because she's like, I already knew I'd be fine. They won't. And she told them, give me the stuff. I will hold it.
Yeah.
And she was there holding the drugs.
Waiting to be searched, probably.
And they never searched her. They let her go.
That's crazy.
I think it was Fiona Apple. I want to say it was.
Fiona Apple.
And I was
forgot
just
about
like,
that name.
that is just indicative. And that's the stuff that people need to understand. There is a difference. People are treated differently by the police based on the color of your skin. It's just the facts. And that's why people are upset. And that's why people want change. They don't want change because they want criminals to go free. If you've done something wrong, fine. But treat people fairly for whatever it is or has not been done. Like that guy, George, $20. $20. And that man lost his life over $20 because someone else had no respect for his life. A person of authority. And they even said
power. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
And then the other 2 guys, 2 of them had just started their jobs. So, and how rank and pull go in the police department.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there doing what they're told, wondering, they say that they told him to stop or to do different things, but they're sitting there like, I'm not in charge. This guy's in charge. This is what he's doing,
Yeah.
And people have got to stop being so afraid. Stop being afraid when you see something that's wrong.
You got to say
something.
Yeah.
Say something.
People don't. I don't know what it is, but I just think when I've seen from very harsh things, I lived in LA for 10 years, so I saw some crazy stuff. But from very mild things, like someone calling somebody a name, to some very harsh things, like people beating each other up, most people do nothing.
Nope.
Most people just stand around and watch. And I think those things, like allowing someone to be called a name, allowing someone to be mistreated by, like a normal person, right? I remember an incident at Denny's when the waitress was like, it was your birthday, Ian. We went to Denny's, and you get like a free,
Yeah.
like Denny's dinner, and the waitress would not give you the free dinner. And my dad was not having it.
I don't remember that. Oh, wow.
I don't know. It was like IHOP or Denny's or one of those places. And the waitress was like, you know, it was clear she looked at you different, you know, and I don't know, maybe this is a false memory in my mind, but it's stuff like that when you don't let it go, you let that pass, you let that go on as it is, you're enabling this whole system of racism. You're enabling a cop to kneel on a man's throat for 10 minutes and kill him in the street because you didn't say, and I believe that, like, every action that you take has to be against this racist society, because the only way we're going to fix 400, 500, 600, whatever, 700 years of this, you know, broken thing that we've done in America is to be actively undoing it.
Right.
And I think that's what gives me hope, is like, it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be fast. But my friend, like the one who is learning, if there are more people out there like her who can change their mind and who can be open to learning and move beyond this idea of guilt and shame and just say, like, yeah, what can I do differently?
Yeah, and
that makes me feel hopeful.
And what do you think, like, Lauren, as far as your experience and as a white person, because that's something one of my friends texts me, and honestly, I feel like I can't answer that question for you because I don't have your experience, you know, but what do you think, because she asked me, you know, what can I do, Natalie, or what can I do? And I was like, I have no idea. So what do you think, to wrap up, what do you think, what can white people do, or people who aren't Black, what can they do to be allies and to begin to learn and understand?
Yeah. I mean, I think just on a day-to-day level, it's like when you see something that's wrong, you got to say something, you know, and you see somebody treat somebody differently because of the color of their skin, you have to speak up. So that's like on a day-to-day human to human interaction basis. But I think there's also like vote, you know, look at who you're voting for. Do they say things that are racist, or do they do things that are racist, but are they actively working against racism? And vote for the people who are actively working to fix things. So that's one. I think about like how you spend your money, where you spend your money. Are you spending your money at places that are perpetuating oppression and racist, you know, like Chick-fil-A? I do not go to Chick-fil-A because they are just bad in all levels. Mm-hmm. You know, like Home Depot. I don't shop at Home Depot. I go to Lowe's, even though it's far away. Because Home Depot is, you know, the guy who runs it is a bad guy. And he does not align with my values.
Yep.
And so I think that's it. But then, you know, and then there's, I think, like, invest in nonprofits that are working to impact change. So I think, you know, how can we get more people of color, women, immigrants into office? Because when we have people of varying diverse perspectives in office, we're not going to have that majority of, you know, white men who are racist making laws. So I think that's really important. Invest in nonprofits that are working to address equity at like healthcare, and don't just like donate and then be done with it. Find out how you can like actually help.
Yeah, like maybe be a mentor too. Can that be something? Maybe be a mentor to a child or something like that. But you also might have like a skill that like I would love to have a graphic designer donate their time, because like I have no graphic design skills, but you know, the image that you present, your brand matters a lot. But it's just me and my partner, but we're both like researchers. Well, I got someone I can send to you for that. I'll reach out to her, because we have a person who does our social media. So I'll talk to her and see. Yeah. So it's like, you know, you never know. And your voice makes a difference. And if, you know, if you're trying to, like, we're, you know, reaching out to elected officials to kind of tell them what's going on in the early education space. And the more they hear from constituents, the more likely they are to pay attention to it. And the reality is right now, the people who they're beholden to, are organizations with a lot of money or individuals with a lot of money. It's like whoever donates the most to them, that's who they follow. But if they are afraid that they're going to get voted out because people are paying attention to an issue, they'll actually listen to it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's I think true. That's
what they want, really, that vote.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. They want the money or the vote. I mean, there are a few of them who are there to actually make a difference. And if that means they get kicked out of office after 4 years or 2 years or whatever, they're going to do what's right. But most of them, they want to be in politics. And so they're going to do what's going to keep them in office. And if they are afraid that people are paying attention to an issue, and that's going to hurt them if they don't focus, they will. Even if it's shallow.
I mean,
at least it's
look at the NFL. I mean, that's something that they, I mean, all of a sudden they've changed their tune after Port Cap was vilified.
I love that. I love all of it. I watch it. I'm like, wow, it's amazing how you guys just 180 after a couple of days of protest. Literally, they 180 this guy. Yeah. Everything, because 4 years earlier, they're like, we don't support him. The flag.
Right,
because there was too much.
He couldn't even get a job.
Right, I know. You're right.
That's my biggest worry right now. Is like there are so many. I look at my Facebook page and people who like literally would like roll their eyes at me when I would bring up racial inequity are now like talking about it, and I'm glad. I'm not going to shame them. I'm not going to say where were you, 2 years ago when I was trying to raise money for Teach for America. I'm not going to do that because I'm glad they're with us now. But what I'm afraid is that this is going to go away. We're going to be distracted by the next crazy thing.
No, I agree with you.
And then we're all going to forget about it. And that's when people are like, "Oh, aren't the protests over yet?" I'm like, "No, they're never going to. They should never end.
They should never end.
Actually see some change.
Yeah, they should never end.
We should go protest every day because going back to normal is not okay. It's not going to be okay for our entire country.
No.
Is not going to be okay if we go back to normal. It's not good for anybody, even the most racist red truck hillbillies out there. It's not good for them either. They think it is because they've been conditioned that, but it's not. It would be better for everybody if there's equity, and we just have to find the people who are willing to change and work on that and grow, and we have to help them, and we have to mobilize them and get them to actually take action.
I love it. Every time Lauren talks, I want to go out there and fight myself. Thank you, Lauren. You want me to go out there?
I mean, we're starting, like, we always say, like, we're starting where it begins, with mothers and babies. And if you can, I mean, it's not the only thing. Like, we don't address healthcare issues. We don't address criminal justice issues. Like, we don't address housing. We just look at moms and babies and making sure they're healthy and making sure those first 5 years of life for all children, they get the support. Like, we want them to succeed. Let's act like we want all of our children to succeed.
Right, true.
And we feel like if we can start there, that's something, that's something. And so we're passionate about it. We're trying to get people on board. And actually between COVID and this, like, we have actually seen a lot of interest in this, and that's a good thing. I mean, it's people are paying attention, and it shouldn't have to take a man dying, in the way that George Floyd died. But I think the fact that people are paying attention now is like, if we don't capitalize on that moment, then every single person who has been killed, every single mother who's died in childbirth because they didn't get healthcare access, every single baby who didn't have the chance to be everything they could be because they didn't get a good opportunity, like, that was all for naught, and it's going to keep going. Right. It's going to keep going. And so that's what I hope. And I'm, as you can tell, my mom calls it my ranting, and I get on my.
It's not ranting. It's good.
That's good. I mean, you have passion for people, right? And you want all of us everybody to be treated as a person. And that is as a person, unfortunately, it's not a common thing. So that's commendable. Because not everybody, thinks that way. So, but can you do you have a website for and I definitely want to hear, like, I had no idea that Ian mentions like little things, but I had no idea that you were doing so much, or I didn't even know you had worked for Teach for America. Like,
I told you, she's deep into it, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely want to learn more, and I at this point in my life, I don't have a lot of time, but I have some more time than I did before. And I do want to get more involved in helping create change, and not just sitting at home, bitching and moaning that things aren't different. I definitely want to be a part of a change. So do you have a website for your organization?
Yeah.
Oh, can you tell us that?
It's pretty easy. It's www.getkready.com.
Okay, like this, the letter K?
GETK ready, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And definitely, Ian, we'll I'll get with our social media person and put that in the website and stuff on our on our Facebook page and everything. Cause I mean, I had no idea that I didn't know idea that you had an organization. I am like baffled, like blown away here, about what you're doing and the cause. And I'm glad that I was able to hear more about it today and that you were willing to talk with us. So, we always try to invite friends and family, and it's amazing that you have friends and family, that everyone's doing so many different things, that are impactful in their own ways, So I thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for talking. This was fun. It's been too long since we've all chatted. Obviously.
I know it's been a long time.
I'm going to join you for that beer soon. Don't worry about it. Just let me know when.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to get Mom. We'll do dinner or something. Jeff and.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, we'll try to get the Herman out the house.
Oh yes, get Herman out of this house now. My God.
Yeah, no, it's like, especially these days. So.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll figure some way to trick them.
Well, thanks so much, Lauren.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Yes, thank you so much. God, I love you guys so much. But if the audience wants to listen, you can join us on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, and Castbox. And do we have a new Facebook page? Family.
It's just the Family Mess Podcast. No hyphen.
That's it? No more
I took
hyphen?
the hyphen out.
Okay.
I got rid of that darn thing.
And we can also be joined on Twitter, the Family Mess at the Family_Mess. And man, this was a great show.
Yes, that was really good talking.
Thank you so much, Lauren. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. Thank you so much. Oh gosh,
I loved it.
I could go on forever.
I'm glad I could be part. Oh, just like your Facebook page.
Well, thank you for that. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes, like and subscribe us on whatever platform you listen to the podcast. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet.
All right,
Okay.
all right,
Cool.
Lauren. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, and hope
Tell
to
your
talk-
mom we said hello
Yes,
too.
tell her. We should get her on the show.
We were laughing when we saw her. I was like, "What? Look at Miss Sue out there!" I saw her the picture you guys had posted with her with the mask on out protesting. I was like, "Go on, girl."
Yeah.
So,
All right, Lauren. We'll talk to you soon. Okay,
All right.
take care.
Thanks, guys.
All right, bye. Come on, man. You can't. All right, man. We're gonna cut this recording.
Did you hear that?
That was nasty.